Hi guys, this is Bryson from the Walla Walla Child Development Department. I hope you're all doing well. One of my favorite things to do, especially while I've been home a lot, is experimenting with music and instruments and sounds. So what I want to do today is we're going to learn about two of what I call key components of music. These are all the things that you're hearing when you're listening to all your favorite songs. So we're going to learn about those, and we're going to learn about some musical instruments and how they help us make music. And on top of that, we're going to get to build our own musical instruments that are super easy to make at home. So for our craft portion of this, all you're going to need are some popsicle sticks, some rubber bands, some bigger ones like this, and some smaller ones too, if you have them, a toothpick, a jar lid, if you have one, a piece of paper, and some scissors, and that's it. So let's start into our two key components of music. So when you're listening to your favorite songs, I want you to try next time to see where you're hearing each of these two things. So the first one that we're going to talk about is tones. If you can repeat after me, tones. I like to say it really long to remember what tones are. Tones are made from vibrations, and they're steady sounds. So when you speak, when you hear yourself talk, your throat is making the noise that comes out as tones. So you can hear this with things like recorders. Those are steady tones or notes. This is what helps us get things like melodies and songs. If we go, you can recognize that because of the tones that we're getting from this. So tones can be high, like the recorder. Those are some really high tones, huh? They're really loud and squeaky and really high up, easy to hear. Tones can also be really low. There's a really low tone. Those are a lot lower than the recorder. So a recorder is part of the instrument group of the wind instruments. The wind instruments are the ones that we can use with our mouths, with the air that we can breathe out. It's about creating wind with our mouths to create the vibrations in the instrument. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make one wind instrument that will help us with our tones. So wind instruments, we talked a little bit about those. This one is going to be kind of like a harmonica, if you've seen a harmonica. Oh man. There we go. I'm going to start with grabbing two of our popsicle sticks and our scissors and our piece of paper. So what I did is I took my popsicle stick and I just kind of looked at it and tried to measure out a piece of paper that was about as long or a little bit longer than my stick. So see about how long you want it with your popsicle stick, and then you can just cut out your piece of paper. And it's going to be a nice thin strip like this. This is what's going to help us get our vibrations for the tones. Alright, so now you've got your piece of paper and you've got your popsicle sticks. The next thing you want to do is you want to take your toothpick. Be careful. You want to cut it right in half. Just like that. Now we've got two halves of our toothpick. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our popsicle stick and our piece of paper, and we're gonna make a little sandwich. And we're gonna tie this sandwich together with rubber bands. So you loop it around once, probably a few more times than once, because we need it to be really nice and tight so that it can hold our toothpicks on the inside. There we go. So we've got once we've got one rubber band on, then we can put in our first toothpick. So what I like to do, if you can see it, is I like to open this side up, and I like to put my toothpick underneath the piece of paper. So we're going to put it underneath the piece of paper first, and we're going to slide it as close as we can to the rubber band. All right, now we've got our toothpick in there. It's nice and close to the rubber band. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start getting our next rubber band ready for the other side. Now this one, since we already have a toothpick on one side and we still have to get a toothpick on the other side, we're going to leave it a little bit looser like that. And remember how we put the toothpick on the bottom here? This one we're going to put over top of the piece of paper. So put your toothpick over top of the piece of paper, and then you can kind of squeeze your fingers down on top of it right there to hold it in place. And then from there you can tighten your rubber bands. Hold it in place, loop it around, and put it back. And now, see how we've got that piece of paper inside there? That's what's going to help us get our vibrations. So now, you can just pick a spot to blow on it, and we've got noise. And the cool thing about the rubber bands is it allows for it to flex. So if you push down on it with your lips like this, you can get higher and lower tones. Ready? So a low tone is if I don't push down with my lips at all, it'll give me a lower tone. And if I push down really hard, it'll give me a higher tone. So this is what helps us get our music. We're already ready to start making music. All right, awesome. So that's our wind instrument. So that's how we can tell the difference between what is a tone and what is the next component of music, which is what I like to call rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. And I like to say it 3 times in a row like that, just like with the tones thing is really long. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm is about the movement of the music. So the movement of the music, when you're listening to your favorite songs, this is what makes you want to bop your head or dance around. That's how you're feeling the movement of the music. The rhythm, rhythm, rhythm can be really fast. You can hear a lot of really fast songs, right? Or really slow songs. And that's how we tell the difference between tones and rhythm, rhythm, rhythms. Tones can either be high or low. There's a high tone. Bass guitar made a low tone. And rhythms can either be really, 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 really fast or really, really, really slow. Now, the other kind of instruments, 2 more kinds of instruments I want to talk about. So we've talked about wind instruments, that's one. The other type of instrument is percussion. And percussion is what helps us get our rhythm, rhythm, rhythms. Things like drums. Or even something like an egg shaker. Yeah, these kinds of things that help us hear the motion of the music. So the rhythms, just like how we've talked about how tones can be high or low. Our rhythms can be really fast or really, really slow. Percussion instruments are super cool. I have one like this, the egg shaker. But a couple days ago, I saw that Yamil had a really good video on how to make maracas, which are a lot like this. And that way, if you go back and watch that video, she did a really good job of that, showing you how to make your own percussion instruments so that you can play along. All right. Now, the third group of instruments is called strings. Stringed instruments, there are lots of different kinds of stringed instruments, and I have a lot of them here to show you. Stringed instruments are what help us get both our tones and our rhythms together. So let me show you an example. One example of a stringed instrument is a guitar. So guitars have strings that vibrate when you play them. So that's kind of a low tone that you can hear there. There's a higher tone. And the cool thing about guitars is they have a lot of strings. So you can play lots of tones in a row. So when you play lots of tones in a row, when they sound nice, you can make something called chords. There's a chord. See how there's lots of tones ringing together, but they sound nice together. So that's what's called a chord. And that's how we can get feelings out of music. That's how we can feel like a song is maybe a little happier or a little bit sad. Right? It's pretty cool. So string instruments have a lot of cool things you can do with tones, but they also have cool things you can do with the rhythms together with those tones. So for example, I showed you a chord, right? Here's a chord of lots of tones. Now if we add a rhythm to that, see how it makes me want to bob my head? That's because we have rhythms along with those tones. It's kind of a medium-paced rhythm, not too fast, not too slow. And I can change the chords anytime. And that's how songs are put together. Lots of tones and lots of rhythms working together. This is how we can get different kinds of music from different kinds of rhythms and tones together. We can get really high and really fast. Right? Or we can get really high and really slow. So like... There's a little bit of a slower rhythm with still really high up tones. Another instrument that I showed earlier is the bass guitar. And this is what helps us get our low tones with our fast and our slow rhythms. So hear how the tones are really low. We can still have fast rhythms. Right? Or we can have really slow rhythms. Pretty cool. Our stringed instrument that we're going to build today is a lead banjo. So you can hear how those strings are making sounds, but you can also have a rhythm along with it. So, how we're going to build this is we're going to start with our lid. and we're gonna take, you can either use bigger rubber bands or smaller rubber bands. I found that the smaller rubber bands help to get a little bit higher tones, and the bigger rubber bands help to get lower tones, and sometimes you can't quite hear them. So I like to use the small rubber bands from the rubber band bracelets. If you have any of these are super, super good. So you're gonna take as many as you want. I like to use about 4. So I'm gonna use 4 rubber bands, and I am just going to string them kind of close together onto my lid. I'm just stretching out the rubber band and attaching it on and finding a good place for it to stay so that it doesn't fall off. So now that your rubber bands are strung onto your lid, like so, next thing we do is take some of your favorite duct tape, and you're just gonna rip off a small piece. You can use your scissors. And you're gonna tape to the back of the lid, the top of the lid. You're gonna tape your rubber bands onto the lid, against the lid. That way, these rubber bands have space for you to play them. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our last popsicle stick and we're gonna put it up along the strings on the back. Just gonna stick it right there, right up against where we had the strings taped on, and we're gonna tape the popsicle stick on. So take your duct tape again. Cut a little piece and stick your popsicle stick right onto the back where you have your strings. Just like that. And from here, you can decorate it as much as you want with whatever you want. But now you have your banjo. You can hear tones in there, but we can still play rhythms too. All right. Thank you for joining me. Next week, we're going to do a little bit more of this kind of musical learning, and we're going to learn how to put our instruments and our key components together to make a song. All right, thanks for joining. Have a good day. Bye.